Thank you for joining me for my celebration. Today I'm celebrating 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, and if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're already one of those subscribers, and if you're not, what on earth did you search for on YouTube to be shown this video? And if you've been here for a while, you might already know why 4,000 is a significant milestone for me. But if you don't know, I will explain a bit later, because it is a bit of a random number to be celebrating, isn't it? So thank you for being here, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. It really does mean a lot to me. And I've not got any balloons or streamers, there's no fireworks or anything. The closest I've got to this being a party celebration is I've got my t-shirt on, which has got a sparkly microphone. And I've got some notes which are more or less bullet points with some extra little scribbles. I've not scripted, so this could end up being a very long, very rambly video. But like I say, if you're already a subscriber, then you're probably used to that from me already anyway. And what I've done with my notes that I've made, I've sort of divided what I'm going to talk about roughly into 10 sections, and I'll put the times in the description below, so if you're only interested in some of it, then you don't have to watch the whole thing if you don't want to. So first of all, maybe I'll say a bit about what held me back, why it didn't even cross my mind to do videos on YouTube. And basically, when I first started watching YouTube, I would watch to learn how to do certain things. So if there was something I needed to do in my home, or even, perhaps with one of my crafts, I'd be reading, I don't know, a crochet pattern, and there's terminology that I've not come across before, then I would look it up on YouTube and there would be somebody there to show me how to do it. And I loved that. Or like I say, things around the house, like if there was something that wasn't working and I thought, well, maybe this is something I could fix myself if I only knew how. And I would search for that on YouTube, and again, there would be somebody there showing me how to do it. And I loved the fact that you can learn to do almost anything on YouTube. But I would think to myself, I love the fact that I can watch and learn, but who are these people? Who sits at home and thinks, I'm so good at doing this thing, I'm going to film myself and share it with the world? I mean, that's just so far from how I think about myself and what I do, that it just didn't even enter my head that I would have anything worth sharing in that way. And I just had that quite sort of negative view of that. But then as I watched more YouTube and I started watching more for entertainment or learning new crafts, and I think it was really more on the craft side of things and the art side of things, that I came to realise, actually, although there are a few people who are a little bit like, oh, look at me, I'm so good, I can teach you the one and only best way to do this. There are some people like that, but I'm not drawn to those kinds of people. The ones that I was attracted to were the ones who were just wanted to share. It's kind of like, I've learned how to do this thing, whatever it might be, and I just want to share that knowledge with you, whoever you are who's watching. And that did appeal to me, because I do like to share the things that I've learned. So that was kind of the first little spark, I guess, of maybe I could do this. But then obviously there is the barrier of, you're talking to a camera in a room on your own, talking to yourself like an idiot. It's very daunting. And then the technology side of it, could I even do it? I didn't know. But what happened to really kickstart me filming was during the COVID pandemic, as I think probably many people started YouTube channels at that time. And it was early on, it was in March 2020, and I'd sort of rekindled at that time an older hobby that I'd been doing of making glass beads. And I'd been sharing photos on my Instagram of beads that I'd been making, and a lot of my friends had commented that they would like to watch how it was done. And of course at that time we weren't allowed to have visitors, we couldn't go and visit anyone else, you know, there was no way that I could show people how it was done unless I filmed myself doing it. So that's what I did. I did a little video. If you go to my main channel page, and normally when you click on the videos it shows the newest first, but you can actually change it to show the oldest first, and you will see my very first video that I did, and it's, wow. It's probably like a lot of people's first videos. I really didn't know what I was doing. I did it in the vertical format because I was using my phone and that just felt like the natural way to do it. Didn't even think about how it would be for people watching it. I did a little spiel about what I was going to do, and then I went out in my garage where my setup is and I filmed making a bead. But although I put it on YouTube, I made it private or unlisted. I can't remember the difference between the two, but anyway, I set it so it wasn't public because my idea was those friends that had said they wanted to see how it was done, I could just send them a link so that they could watch it. I had no intention of it being public. So like I say, that was March 2020. And then I did do a few others in a similar way where I was showing things that I wanted to be able to share a link to. So those first few videos were like that was my intention. They were private, unlisted, whatever. And then probably about 6 months later, I actually made them public. So I think on YouTube they do actually show up as being October 2020, but I did actually start them in the March. And then there was quite a big gap before I did any more videos. And then my first, what I consider to be my first proper video, as in I made it with the intention of it being on YouTube for anyone to watch. That is a very scary prospect. If you've not got your own channel, maybe you can imagine what it's like. If you have got your own channel, you know what it's like, that when you put the first video on and you've no idea, you know, maybe nobody might watch it, maybe lots of people might watch it, maybe you'll get nice comments, maybe you'll get horrible comments, you just don't know. And it is daunting. So that first proper video I shared, which was, hang on, let me just check the date. So my first proper video was in September 2022, so almost 3 years ago. And at that time I was planning to go on a little holiday just on my own, and my plan for the week was to sketch. So I'd put together a bag of art supplies that I was going to take for my week, that I was going to carry this bag with me wherever I went. So whenever that urge to sketch came, I just had everything with me ready. So that was the video I filmed of like what's in my travel art kit. And as I mentioned at the start, it was that first video which has led me to this video today for my 4,000 subscribers. And I'll insert a clip here where I was talking about how many subscribers I had at the time and why I thought nobody would be watching the video. Well, if YouTube has recommended this video for you, I'm guessing that you've already watched a ton of videos about travel art kits, because let's be honest, I've only got 4 subscribers, not 400, not 4,000, 4. So YouTube's really scraping the bottom of the barrel recommending my video for you, but I hope you'll stick around anyway. I did also do a little celebration video when I reached the 400 mark, and I'll link that in the description below. So from that point when I had 4 subscribers until now when I've got just over 4,000, has been almost 3 years. And that is slow in terms of YouTube growth. I've seen channels that have grown that much in a matter of weeks or months, not years. But then there are also others that haven't grown at all. So I'm quite happy with where I am. That it's been slow but steady progress. So the fact that it's not been a massive, like sudden growth doesn't worry me. I'm just doing it as I enjoy doing it and just along for the ride and see what happens. You know, I don't have big goals. I mean, I will talk a little bit about goals later, but I don't have any, you know, major ambitions. But to be honest, in life in general, I'm not a massively ambitious person. I mean, in my job, you know, I want to be good at my job. I want to be well liked and respected, but I'm not aiming to be managing director. You know, that is not where my thoughts go. I just want to do my job and be good and do the best I can. And I think I've got that same attitude with YouTube. I just, you know, I'm just being me. I'm not trying to be anybody special. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm just sharing what I've learned and what I'm doing. And, you know, at least some people are enjoying that. And as long as that's the case, then I will carry on. And a lot of the regular advice that comes up and what a lot of people do, please like and subscribe and comment and share. I don't think I've ever asked anybody to do that. I'm pretty sure I haven't. Sometimes I might say, oh, comment about, you know, a particular part in the video because I'm interested in your opinion, but not for the purpose of, hey YouTube, look how popular my videos are. Like, that's not my purpose of doing it. And for me personally, everybody, you know, has their own way of doing it, and I'm not saying people shouldn't ask you to like and subscribe, because there's obviously a reason why people do that. And most people say that it does bring more attention from the YouTube algorithm to your channel, and therefore it's more likely to be shared. If I say that to you, I will only be saying it because I'm repeating it having heard somebody else say it. I don't actually know for a fact if that actually is the case. It probably is, but for me, if I hear somebody say in their video, please like my video, well, if I like it, I'll like it. But I don't like it because they've told me to like it. Do you know what I mean? Or like this again with the subscribe. If I watch a video and I think, wow, I really like this person's style and what they're talking about, I'd like to see more of their videos, then I will subscribe. But if somebody just asks me to subscribe, that's not my motivation for doing it. So that's kind of partly why I don't ask for likes and subscriptions, because that's just not how I use YouTube as a viewer. And if you have got your own channel and you always ask people to like and subscribe, please don't think I'm criticising that. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong or bad with that. It's just, for me personally, I don't currently feel comfortable doing that. Now maybe in the future I will, or maybe I'll just start putting a little comment on the screen, so I'm not actually verbally saying those words, but maybe there's just a little visual prompt. And you know, maybe there are some people who think, oh yeah, actually I am liking this, I'll let YouTube know I'm liking it, or do you know what I mean? I don't know, that's a very rambly, and I kind of feel like I've sort of tied myself in knots a little bit with that. But yeah, who knows, maybe in the future I will start saying that. So I don't want to say now that I will never do it, because maybe I will. And another very common piece of advice is to have a schedule of when you're going to post videos and to do it regularly. So some people will post 1, 2, 3 times a week. Some people might just post once a month. But the idea is that it's regular so that people know when to be on the lookout for your videos. And again, for me, when I'm watching YouTube, that doesn't even enter my head. There's only one channel that I can think of that I'm like, oh, it's Monday, she's going to have a video for me to watch. Like all the others, I just watch when a video comes out, and if it's a subject that I'm interested in, then I watch it. Like, it doesn't enter my head that it's a set day every week. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is because I want YouTube to still be a hobby. I don't want to turn this into a business. If I can make a reasonable amount of money from it, great, but that is not my motivation. I want to enjoy this, and I want you to enjoy what I'm sharing. And if I'm thinking, oh, it's Monday, I've got to get a video done, I will be so stressed out about it, and the pressure of the deadline, I will make a rubbish video because I will be rushing, and I'll be doing it because I have to do it. And I don't like working like that. You know, there are enough things in life that you have to do at certain times. I don't want YouTube to be one of those things. Now, of course, the downside of that is not having a schedule. Sometimes weeks and weeks go by and I think, oh, I haven't done a video for a while. So it's not necessarily good to have those long gaps, but at the same time, I don't want to pressure myself to do that every week. Okay, so now let's talk about the technology that I use, and it's a pretty short list. Sometimes I use my mobile phone. It's a smartphone, it's not an iPhone or anything, just a regular phone. And in the very early days when I was using my phone, I would just have it propped on a stack of books or just anything that I could kind of cobble together to get the phone in the right location to use. But I also used a digital camera, and it's the same digital camera that I'm using today. It's obviously, I can't show you, but I'll put a picture on the screen, and it's just a Sony digital. I can't tell you the model number or anything, I've no clue. I think it's probably about 15 years old, might even be older than that, I'm not sure. So definitely not something that I bought specifically to do YouTube. And in fact, I've tried really hard not to spend money to produce my videos. I spend money on a lot of my hobbies, and I did say earlier that YouTube is a hobby, but I don't want this to become an expensive hobby. And for a lot of people it is fancy camera equipment and lights and microphones and a whole TV studio practically, and I don't want that. I don't want that to become my focus. And my goal for what I spend for YouTube is to only use money that I've got from YouTube. And I'll talk a little bit more later about the monetization. But basically, before I was monetized, I only bought 2 things. And that was a bigger memory card for my camera, because the memory card that I'd previously had, while it was fine for taking photos, As soon as I started doing videos, the memory card just filled up so quickly. So I did need to buy a bigger memory card. And the other thing I bought was this little tripod. I think this was like 11 quid or something, so not expensive. And it's got bendy legs. And this was good for getting different angles a little bit easier than with stacks of books. But when I wanted a higher perspective, or I wanted to be able to kind of the camera looking down, what I would do is wrap this around the top rung of a dining chair, and I'll put a picture so you can kind of visualize what I'm talking about. So yeah, so that was one of the things that I did buy. And then after my channel was monetized and I did have a little bit of money coming in, what I then bought was a clamp that I could put on my desk. So it's, again, I'll show you a picture, but it's this big long clamp with lots of elbows so that I can adjust. So I've got that at the moment clamped to my desk in my craft room. By the way, talking of craft room, I don't know what you think of the wall behind me, but I will say, if you hate it, it's not my choice. This paint was already on the wall when we bought the house, and if you love it, well, I can't take the credit, it was already on the wall when I bought the house. It wouldn't be my ideal choice of a filming background, but it's just a convenient place to film because it's just by the desk in my craft room. So anyway, that was a little side point about where I'm filming. And I mentioned about the tripod and the dining chair. If I'm filming elsewhere in my house, I still use that method. So I haven't got lots of different tripod setups. I've just got my little short bendy one and the clamp, which is fixed to my desk. So I've got no fancy lights. I just always try and do my videos in the daylight. So I've just got the natural light coming in from the window, which probably means you can't see my eyes right now because there's probably light reflecting off my glasses. There's not a lot I can do about that. I also don't have a microphone, just the internal microphone that's built into the camera or the phone. Oh, did I mention I do still sometimes use the phone to film if I'm out and about. So on a few of my videos I've done a little bit in the car while I've been parked and not driving, and I use my phone for that. Or if I'm demonstrating a sketch while I'm out, I just use my phone. I don't bother taking the camera out with me. I've not got any current plans to change the technology that I use for the actual filming. I'm not planning to get any lights. If I am filming and it gets late in the day and the natural light is fading, I just put the house lights on, you know, and it's not ideal. But if you were coming to visit me and it was in the evening, well, the house lights would be on. Like, we wouldn't be sat having a conversation with professional lighting set up, would we? So, you know, for me, I think that's fine. I know a lot of people are quite particular about their lighting, but as I said, I'm not. And the other very key piece of equipment that I use is my laptop for editing the videos. And my laptop is really, really slow. Like, I can't even describe to you how slow it is. But I can't at the moment justify the cost of buying a better laptop just for editing my videos, because realistically that is the main thing I use it for. And I do use it for a few other things, but you know, really it's mostly just doing my videos. And it's so slow that when I'm editing, like the audio and the visual kind of gets out of sync, which makes it really difficult to edit. And as I already mentioned, I don't really want to be spending out a lot of money to be able to produce these videos, and obviously buying a new laptop is a big expense. So I've actually got a separate bank account set up where any money that I get from YouTube is going into that bank account, and I am saving up to buy myself a new laptop. And maybe then, when I've got a super speedy, all singing, all dancing laptop that doesn't go out of sync with the audio and the visual, then maybe I might be inclined to do a few more videos, because it won't be such a daunting process to do the editing afterwards. I'm just being honest with you, that's how it is. And on the subject of editing, I use the free version of CapCut, and I had recently heard some slightly disturbing information about how CapCut could potentially use my videos, but I'm comfortable with how it works and I don't want to relearn another new software. So at the moment I'm planning to stick with CapCut. And then for my thumbnails, I use a website called befunky.com. And in the early days, there were no thumbnails at all. It was just YouTube would just pick a random still frame from the video, and that was my thumbnail. So I have kind of moved on a little bit since those days. So I think that's about it for the technology. Like I said, it's only a short list. I've got a camera, a phone, tripod, clamp and a laptop. That's it. Apart from the tripod and the clamp, I had those other things before I started doing YouTube anyway. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the different types of videos that I make. And although there are lots of different subjects that I've made videos about, I think they basically come into three main types of video. So one is tutorials, and I don't have a huge amount of tutorials on my channel, but there are some, especially to do with bookbinding. I've got several bookbinding tutorials because that's something that I feel a little bit more confident about demonstrating. And you know, even with that, I wouldn't say this is the way to do it. It's like, well, this is how I do it, and try and explain it in a very clear way, step by step, quite slow, lots of talking. You're not surprised, are you? Actually, somebody did comment once, these kind of videos would be better with less chat, or something along those lines. And they were probably right. But, you know, I think if somebody's never done that before, they want that real step by step, you know, I'll hold your hand through the whole process kind of thing. And obviously for some people that is too much. If they already kind of know how to do it, you know, you don't need to know every single little bit. But yeah, so tutorials is one type of video that I've been making. And then there's also, I don't quite know what to call it, but I guess it's kind of a make it up as I go and see what happens. For example, I had a small old suitcase with a really tatty lining and I wanted to reline it. Well, I had never done that before, and this is the one and only of this type of suitcase that I've got. So I wasn't going to do it first, learn it, and then do a tutorial. It was kind of like, well, this is what I want to do. It's a one-off project. I'll probably never do it again. So I just film the process, and you know, you get to see the trial and error and the mistakes along the way, and hopefully we'll both learn something from it. So there are a few of those kind of videos as well where I don't really know at the start where it's going. Maybe that's fun to watch along with, or maybe that's frustrating. Maybe you'd rather just see a neatly finished, you know, I know what I'm doing. But I want to share those things as well, even if I don't know what I'm doing. And then the third type of video that I do, I guess you would say it's like a show and tell kind of thing. So things that I've already done, and then I just want to share the end product. So things like flip throughs of my sketchbooks, and then maybe a few videos where I show, you know, various stages of the sketch. But I've not got any videos where I'm like, well, first you do this and then you do this and then you add this, because I don't feel qualified, or I don't know. I don't feel like I want to do those kind of art videos as a tutorial. There are lots of channels that do talk you through step by step how to do different art styles and things like that. At this point in time, that's not for me. Like, I'm happy to share with you what I've done and why I've done it, and what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Maybe in the future I might do more of a step by step with that, but at the moment, from the art side of things, I'm happy with just, look at what I've done. So at this point, I've got about 80 videos on my channel. So I thought I'd just have a look and just tell you about the top 3. So in third place, so this is based on how many views they've had, how popular they are. Not necessarily which ones are my favourites, but which ones YouTube have shown to the most people, or the most people have watched, I should say. Okay, so the third place is my first travel art bag video. So that's the one I showed you the clip of earlier, which was actually my first proper video, and that's still in my top 3. So I'm really proud of that, because it shows that, you know, there's still people watching that video and still finding benefit from it. And that video has had 23,000 views. So bearing in mind I've only got 4,000 subscribers, and that video is 23,000, and 1.9 thousand people have liked it, and there are 656 comments. Now, roughly half of those comments are from me, because I always try and reply. Okay, so in second place, my second most popular video is about how to make your own sketchbook, and that was the one that had the comment about too much talking, but there's only one comment like that on there. It's got 278 comments, again roughly half of those are from me, and almost 2,000 likes. And then, drum roll, the number 1 most popular video on my channel, which has had 56,000 views. 56,000! Like, my mind boggles that many people have watched one of my videos. Anyway, the subject of that was another tutorial about bobbin lace, and it was bobbin lace for absolute beginners, and I literally sort of step by step. And at the time when I filmed that video, basically I put everything I knew into one video. Since then I've learned more, and I would like to redo that, but as a series of videos with more information. Yeah, so as I said, that particular video has had 56,000 views. It's got 2,500 likes and just under 300 comments. Again, half the comments are me. But all the comments are so lovely. Comments on YouTube are my favourite thing about it. To get feedback from people about what they liked, what helped them. You know, lots of people have said that they find my videos relaxing. I think that's actually code for boring, but anyway. And people have said that they feel like they're just sat having a coffee with a friend while I'm talking about, especially like with my my holiday art journal, where I was kind of talking about my holiday and flipping through the sketches. You know, a few people had commented that it was just like having coffee with a friend, listening to my holiday stories. So yeah, the comments are a real high point for me, because, you know, I can look at a video and think, oh, that's got 1,000 likes. I mean, that is really lovely. But I don't know who those people are. I don't know what they liked about the video. But if somebody has taken the time to actually write and tell me what they liked or what they didn't like, then that really is special. And on a similar line, you know, some people, like for the tutorials, the bookbinding especially, when people tell me that they've actually followed along with the tutorial and they've made a book that they are really proud of and that they are really happy that they now know how to make it, that just makes me feel like a proud parent. You know, to have taught somebody something that they can then use and enjoy is really special. And a few people have even sort of tagged me on Instagram when they've shared pictures of what they've made from using my tutorial, and that's just so lovely. Really is very special. Another thing I love is when people tell me where they're watching from. And right back when I did my 400 subscriber video, I mentioned about my map, and I've not got it with me. I've left it downstairs. I should have brought it up to the craft room with me. I'll put an image on the screen. But when people tell me where they're from, I colour it in on my map. And you know, a lot of the time it's like, I'm like, oh, somebody's told me where they are, and I get the map out and I'm like, oh, I've already coloured that one. But when I get to colour a new country or a new state, it's just like, it's really exciting for me. Maybe that's a little bit sad, but you know, YouTube is global, and it's nice to feel that I've got a little part in that people around the globe are watching my videos and that I can show them something. I mean, obviously there are other people showing on YouTube as well. It's not just me. It's not like they couldn't learn it without me, but that I've had a little part in teaching somebody something or sharing something with somebody that I would never meet. And that is special. One of the more surprising things about YouTube is when I get notifications of, you know, in the last week, so many people have watched your videos, this many people have liked, this many people have commented. And the one which always surprises me is that people are sharing my video. And I'm like, who's sharing my videos? Like, have you ever shared one of my videos? And can you let me know why? Like, I don't mean that like, why are you sharing my video? But I'm just curious. Like, have you shared it with yourself? Like, have you emailed it to yourself so that you can find it again? Or have you sent it to a friend that you think would find it interesting? It just surprises me. You know, if people like it, that's amazing enough to me. But if somebody likes it enough that they would actually share it with somebody else, that's mind-boggling to me. And maybe I'll get used to that, like the longer I'm doing videos, but it's still like, I'm like, oh, 6 people have shared a video of mine this week. Like, I don't know, just surprises me every time I see that. And something else which has surprised me is that my channel did get monetized. Like, I mean, you saw what I thought, like back in those days when I only had 4 subscribers. You know, it wouldn't even enter my head, not in my wildest dreams, that I would actually get money from YouTube for my videos. And I'm assuming that you've seen enough other people talking about that you probably already know more than me probably about monetization. But just in case you don't, so basically once you reach a certain point, so I think when I qualified, the criteria was that you had to have at least 1,000 subscribers and you had to have 4,000 hours of time that people had spent watching your channel. Obviously not all in one go. And that 4,000 hours was on a rolling year. So in the last 365 days, and of course as the time moves on, like those hours that you've built up previously are sort of dropping off. And I never thought I would get to that 4,000 hours. Like the 1,000 subscribers, I mean obviously it took a while, but I definitely got to the subscriber criteria first. And the watch time hours was so slow building up to that point. So when I eventually reached that point, that was in February 2024, so like a year and a bit ago. And how the monetization works from the ads anyway, I think there are other things you can do to make money on YouTube, but I'm just talking about the adverts because at the moment that's all I'm using. So companies obviously pay YouTube to advertise, and then if that advert is shown on one of my videos, YouTube gives me a percentage of the revenue from the adverts. And depending on what kind of channel you've got, you know, they kind of choose which adverts to show. I have no control over which adverts they show. That's just down to YouTube. And currently in the UK, I don't know what it's like elsewhere, but to get an actual payment to my bank account, I need to have reached £60 worth of money coming in from the adverts. And in the very beginning, when I first qualified, it took me 5 months to reach that £60. So what happens is if you've not reached £60 in that month, then YouTube just kind of hold on to that for you, and then it just rolls over into the next month and the next month and the next month, however long, until you get to the 60. So like I say, the first payment I got, it took me 5 months to get £60. Then after that, it was 3 months, and then 2 months, and I was like, oh, this is getting exciting, like it's getting bigger. But for quite some time now, it's stayed at that 2 month interval, which means I'm getting roughly £1 a day. So my little savings pot for my new laptop, it is growing, but it's growing very slowly. So that then brings me on to the last subject that I wanted to discuss in this video today, about my future goals. And this is where I get a little bit, I don't quite know, because a lot of the things which I feel should be goals, it's like, well, I've got no control over that, or I don't really want that. So like I mentioned previously about a lot of people would have a schedule. So although I have this kind of vague goal that I would like to do more videos or more regularly, I don't want to set myself that rigid schedule. So maybe, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe what I'll do is set a reminder in my phone, like on a Monday, for example, not to do a YouTube video, but just, could you do a YouTube video this week? You know, and then just to kind of look at what time I've got available in that week and what I'm currently working on, to just maybe prompt myself, not as a definite I have to do a video, but just so that I'm thinking about it more regularly. And something else that I would like, as I've mentioned about the ad revenue that I get, is currently working out about once every 2 months. It would be amazing if I could get that down to once a month, but that's dependent on how many people watch my videos. So that's sort of out of my control. So I don't want to set that as a goal for myself because, well, that's down to you guys. It's all on you. But I know if I do more videos, then there's more opportunity to get more views. So I know that is kind of in my control. And I do also have goals in the sense of I've got a list of ideas of things that I would like to make videos about. But I'm not going to go into that here because I think this video is more about my journey up to this point, more so than, you know, what's coming next. If you are interested in some of my ideas, a little while back I did actually do a live video. Do you call it a video when it's live? Anyway, I went live on YouTube and I was talking about some of the video things that I want to do. So I will link that in the description, like the replay, if you want to have a look. If you've not had enough of me rabbiting on. So now we need to wrap up. I need to stop talking. I dread to think how long this video is, and maybe you've watched it all the way through, maybe you looked at the chapters and just skipped about for the bits that you were interested in. Thank you again for subscribing. As I said at the beginning, I'm assuming if you're watching this you're already subscribed, because why else would you be watching it? And thank you for being here and for watching this massive long video. I do really appreciate it, and all the lovely comments and those mysterious shares. So thank you ever so much, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Bye for now.